deals, funds that they need to deploy, information they need to share. I just got some information, me and Layla and Alex and Sheena. Anything? Going once, going 2 times. Oh, okay, Dylan. Yeah, go ahead, Dylan.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hey, what's up, man? Nice to meet you.
Okay. Yeah, you too, man.
I guess right now I just got off the phone with the seller and I'm trying to like reach all these attorneys, and I guess it's pretty much a foreclosure. There's no auction date. I guess an investor before back in March tried to buy it from her, but she had like a ton of arrears. She didn't pay her mortgage for 2 years since 2019. And I guess the investor went to go and buy it. She mentioned sub 2, but the numbers didn't work because the payoff was like 422,000, and I think the house was worth about, the ARV was about there as well. So super confusing. Long story short, the ex-husband was paying the mortgage. They divorced, signed over the house to her, and then filed for bankruptcy in April. So now I'm trying to talk to this lady and she's aware of all these arrears. So I went and called like the auditor, the county auditor, the treasurer, the Supreme Court of foreclosure and all these things. And they all told me that the arrears are cleared and there's no arrears on the property. Is there any way that it could have been cleared by that foreclosure? I mean, filing for bankruptcy, and now all those arrears are just clear. Now there's only the principal left, because she's gotten the last mortgage statement and it's only showing that there's no arrears on it as well now. So I'm kind of thinking, like, who do I go to kind of, I guess, purchase this property from her? Is it like out of her? So there's actually a judgment on the house, but the foreclosure was closed in April, and that's when he filed for bankruptcy too. So the foreclosure is no longer open, but there's a judgment.
So does the lender own the property now? They get back?
That's what she's trying to figure out, but she's old. She's like almost 80 years old. So she doesn't even know. It seems like the ex-husband was just taking care of all the finance. She was sort of just, didn't really have an idea of what was going on with the financing part of it all. She didn't even know who was financing it, but she did reach out to the ex-husband and got the mortgage statement. But I'm thinking, like, if there's a judgment on the house and we were to go and try and purchase this house, is it still her decision to sell it?
I think she's out. I mean, I don't see how she has any control.
Even though the foreclosure it was closed, it's no longer.
When you say closed, like they foreclosed on it, or
no, closed, they just totally like waived the foreclosure. Now it's not even.
She filed for bankruptcy.
The ex-husband filed for bankruptcy in April.
Hey, Corey, I would be more concerned about that transaction for him going bankruptcy after he made that transfer. That's gonna show like a big red light. It's gonna be like pretty much a fraudulent transaction at that point. So they probably put everything on hold.
Maybe maybe that's what's going on.
So who do you think would be the best? She's trying to get a hold of her attorney right now, but he's just not replying to her, not returning her calls. She called again today and left another voicemail to try and see if she could get me on the phone or somebody else on the phone, because he won't even reach out to obviously anybody but
her attorney won't answer her call.
Yeah, she's been trying to get a hold of him, but And when I called these offices, they said that somebody paid down the arrears, but they can't find out any, like on the receipts, it's unknown. There's no name on any of it, they said, which is really weird. So somebody is like, that she doesn't even know of, is like secretly paying down all these, or not secretly, but like becoming anonymous, is putting it down as anonymous. And somebody actually paid down the arrears this year. And it wasn't her or her ex-husband or her daughter or anybody that she's aware of.
It's just some random person paid
Yeah,
their,
they don't even have a name to.
was it the investor that was interested at first? Or is
No,
it the
the
investor?
investor actually told her that the numbers wouldn't work, so sort of just moved on after getting the mortgage statement back in March.
I've never, I mean, I'm stumped, guys. I don't know.
I'm just sort of calling all over and trying to figure out who to really talk to and whose hands it's really in. You know, it doesn't. I don't know. It's just
Hey, Dylan, this is Joel. This is that you know, I can help you with that detective work. That's the kind of craziness that we do. So you need some help on that. We can I can help you there.
all right. Let me write
Sure,
it
yeah.
down for sure.
Joel at inspirelifeinvestments.com. I'll put it in the chat.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, give me the address and all that stuff. We can help you figure it out.
Cool. Okay, my bad. Totally off topic and side.
All right.
On topic. This is what we're doing. Thank you, Dylan. Thanks, Joel.
No problem.
Sure. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
All right. Anybody else have anything? Any questions or something need help with?
I do.
Oh, we got Sam over here. Hey, Sam. Hey, Sam. Haven't talked to you in a long time. You there, Sam?
Was it Sam or John? I said I was the one that said I do.
Oh yeah, you can go ahead, John. Oh no, Sam has his little hand up.
Oh, sorry. You can go first if
No, you
anything.
go, John. Hey, yeah, go ahead.
Or hard to hear. I guess I'm trying to work on something to I know everything's more like a numbers game with stuff. So I guess I'm trying to work on this property that it looks like maybe basically the owner, basically they're older, the couple's older. He's in hospice. She's actually under the care of the daughter. But the daughter actually came from the mainland, and they came back here to take care of them. But what's going on is it was under a trust, and what they did is they kind of basically they made it into I guess they went to paperwork and they got it. She's a DPOA for the property now. I mean for them now. But what they're trying to do is, I guess initially the husband and wife, the daughter, was trying to see maybe they can kind of renovate, kind of rent it out. But I think the property is too much work. Like it's probably over 100,000 maybe renovation costs. My question is really, I guess in terms of comms, if the purchase property, like for example, what they're doing now is they're trying to maybe sell the property, how much they think it costs, minus all that comms, minus all the renovation costs and everything, so they don't have to go through it. I guess we always kind of talk about like a certain percent of how much you want to acquire the property, like, I don't know, 60-65%. But knowing Hawaii, I guess is such a weird, I don't know, like how the market is here. When do you know when to walk away? I guess like if they're asking about maybe 70-75% of the property post, ARV or repair value or some sort, is that still a doable deal?
I know what you're asking, and it's actually a very great question to ask in these times. Let me preface with what I was gonna say real quick about the information that we got right before this call, because we were on our call with one of our mentors. He's a what we call a balance sheet lender out in Los Angeles. And what he does is the reason why he's different than many of the other hard money lenders, private money lenders, is that he's not tied to the capital markets. He's not tied to Wall Street. And, I'm going to touch on this a little bit, at the event that we're having here, like the difference between Wall Street and Main Street, right? And then understanding not just what market you're playing in, but what street are you playing on? I'm a Main Street player, just like many of us on the call here. You know, so we have to understand, what does it mean to be a Main Street player? You know, and why are we playing on Main Street? That's the question. And this is kind of like a question that we all should be asking ourselves, because all we had, Rich, and he's one of our mentors. He's very conservative, and he's hard to close with. You know, sometimes it can get frustrating, but that's why he's been around for like since the start of the industry. You know, because he's very careful and he's responsible, and so all the lenders have adjusted their leverages, which means that we have to adjust our criteria, not just because we want to make more money, is because we won't even get the deal financed if you're not changing your criteria. Most lending companies that are tied to the capital markets have sliced their LTVs, right? And that's us included. Now, you'll have to check with different lenders every now and then, because it's so volatile that some lenders are securing their bonds now and locking in their terms right now. So they're going to be good for like 6 months, maybe, right? So their leverages might come back up and their rates might go back down for 6 months. And when the bond renews, who knows, maybe they don't get such a good deal. And now this lender's terms aren't as good as the other lender, you know? So I think right now, and this is me speaking on as a borrower, you know, it's okay to have, like, you should be looking at multiple different sources, because you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, right? We have multiple capital partners as well, and even from our mentors, you know, who provide us the capital, they're telling us the same thing. Hey, don't put your eggs in one basket, you know, like go link up with somebody else and align yourself with partners. That's how we weather any storm. So I think you're asking, John, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you're asking, like, at what point how do you know we're looking at a deal anymore, right? Because 2 months from now, the value or the ARV may be totally different, and you're right, you know, and that's why right now, yeah, nobody should be buying at 70 or 75% of the ARV. That's my opinion, because one, it's a 50-50 chance you'll get funded anyways. I think you should be in the 60s, maybe mid 60s, 65s, maybe a little less if you can, obviously. The lower, the better, because we have to remember to take advantage of when we have the leverage. Right? We have to understand market conditions, and it's no longer a strong seller's market, right? I think most of us are feeling that in most markets. So if we know that the values have gone down, then we have to adjust our criteria. And I was saying that maybe look at the market that you're in, see how much it appreciated within the year from 2021 to maybe the first quarter of 2022. See how much that appreciation rate was. Tampa was roughly about 39.6%, basically 40% appreciation. So if we know that appreciation is due to kind of just circumstances that we're in, the war, COVID, chain issues, then we know that we shouldn't be using ARVs at 40% inflation prices. You know? Like, so, but the question is, how much do you lower? You know, and that depends on the deal you're doing. Maybe it's just a quick bridge, short-term fixed deal where you expect to be out within 4 to 6 months. Well, then maybe you can be a little bit more aggressive on that. You know, that's up to you. But what percentage are you going to bring that down? Maybe we have to cut whatever the comps are showing today. If we know that our prices last year, maybe we have to cut the ARV that's showing today by 20%. Maybe we have to drop it halfway through. And we just have to mitigate risk. That's our job as professional investors, right? Our job is to get a return on our investment. Let's not forget that. You know, and while we're doing that, we make a difference, you know, because we know what we're doing here. We make more of a difference on Main Street than Wall Street. And And so to answer your question, John, I mean, my opinion is you're thinking along the lines, the right lines. And it's not the time to get into skinny deals. Like, one, you won't get financed. And two, if you don't take advantage of the leverage that you have as a buyer in a buyer's market, then you're gonna get smacked around on the sell side when you don't have the leverage. You know, so just remember that we gotta take advantage of when we have the leverage now, and that's to protect ourselves, you know, and our investors. So, did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Great question. Hey Sam, how's it going?
Hey man, can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, cool. So anyhow, I have a line on REO bank-owned property. I'm looking at making an offer, and the bank is asking for proof of funds, and the pool of the private lenders that I would usually try to tap seem to be maxed out. There's a couple of whales on the island there into a lot of property, so I wanted to inquire with you, probably offline for this, about some hard money.
Absolutely. Yeah, no problem. I saw I did get a text from you, so I'll hit you back, Sam. But is it already REO?
It is already REO.
How long is the closing?
They closed on it in 2019.
Oh no, how long is your are you in contract?
I am not in contract. I'm
Okay,
just making the offer, and the bank is wanting proof of funds.
gotcha.
We'll talk more whenever you get a chance. Man.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, we probably should put in the chat like basic instructions if somebody wants to submit a proof of funds to us. And it's just basic information that we would need, like the address, the name of the buyer that's making the offer, what is the offer amount, and then usually we have to get some sort of the sense of the deal, right? What's the purchase price, renovation budget, and what's the exit strategy? Once we have a top, you know, like a 30,000 foot view of the deal, just the numbers, then we can submit proof of funds. So, but I'll send you that information. Yeah, I don't know if anyone on the team can, if we have the information, you can drop it in the chat for anybody who wants to submit for proof of funds. All right, guys, thank you so much that was a great session. I think it kind of went down some avenues that needed to go down. So, but today I wanted to open it up. We're bringing on our good friend Christian, who's also a product of New Wealth Advisors Club. And I love meeting new people from New Wealth Advisors Club. And Christian's not new, you know, but I resonate a lot with him because it's the same route I took. You know, I met the same crew, Oscar, Melina, Andrew, they're all there, and changed my life. And that's why it's going to be an honor to share the stage with many of them and be a part of this event coming up on the 24th here in Honolulu. So if you guys are interested, I think the link is still reipono.com. Please come down, you know, and hopefully get to meet some of you guys that we've been meeting over Zoom over the last 2.5, going on 3 years in person. So September 24th. Thank you, Joel. Joel just dropped it in the chat if anybody hasn't gotten tickets yet. And it's a donation, and so it's for a good cause. But Christian, welcome to our Friday call. And I know you've been coming on our calls too, so thank you. And like I was mentioning before we went on live, is like the thing I love about our calls is it's very genuine, because there's no agenda planned other than our, you know, kind of these needs and good deeds, which really is a segment just to open the mic to the room to see if people want to conversate or talk, or they need help on anything. And but also so we want to keep it organic, real, raw, you know. And that's why I think this is a great opportunity, because I never really heard your story, and I want to, you know, I want that opportunity for you and for all of us. So welcome, Christian, and tell us where you started and how you get here.
Yeah, awesome. Hey, thanks, Corey. It's really an honor to be part of this coffee talk with you folks and everybody else on here. Yeah, I mean, I jump on this and listen to you guys and get really inspired by everyone's story. So yeah, about me, I mean, I was kind of have the same story as Corey in a way. Graduated here in Hawaii from Wapao High School, the 94 block and the west side.
What is it?
um
Marauders, yeah? What? Why Paul Marauders?
yeah. So, I didn't know what to do, right? I thought it was, coming from there. I didn't know what to do. I jumped onto wanting to be an auto mechanic to like wanting to become like aircraft mechanic, and then just went back to, I'm just gonna work. Um so, never really had, in mind being wanting to be an entrepreneur or even real estate investing at all. Just long story short, one of my buddy, good friend back in high school, he was in the Marine Corps, he got out, and then he met few people who had business ventures in San Diego. And, he kind of convinced me to move up there, you know, just see the possibilities. I mean, I didn't have anything to lose that time. That was in 2017. I didn't have kids, not married or anything, and I would just at that time I was working at AT&T as a manager. So I'm like, I can get transferred. Why not, right? So, random night, literally just book a one-way flight to SD, and I told my mom, "Peace out, I'm gonna move out." um, so yeah, and then fast forward to my friends up there kind of like open up my mind to, there's more to life, right? And then at that time, everyone that I was surrounded with was just, coming from the book Go Giver, they were go-getters. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? The mission was basically to become wealthy, filthy rich, and buy anything you want, right? Um, to when I was exploring what I wanted to do, initially, I learned how to day trade the market, did that for a year, but I was the kind of guy that like, man, I can't work from home. Like, waking up at 5 and trade for 2 hours. I'm like, no, that's not for me, it was cool. I mean, at least I learned a lot, understanding the market, the financial market. The next thing was what really inspired me was kind of listening to a lot of successful people. Um, and then one thing I noticed that they all had in common was, they all invest in real estate. And then I remember you started, Corey, when you said like you were also like, had no knowledge about real estate, didn't even know what mortgage was. I was kind of me, like I thought buying a house is simple as walking to a car dealership, and as long as you get good credit, you can buy one, right? But so then I was started going on a hunt to um looking for mentors in the area in San Diego. And then, eventually I found New World Advisors Club. So I started when I was living in San Diego in Riverside in
How
2018.
did you find them? How did you find them?
That was funny. They had their signs,
The sign,
in
right?
Temecula. Yeah.
Ooh,
And it was like,
okay,
you know what?
yes.
It doesn't hurt to try. Just call it.
Yeah.
Oh man. And then it was funny. Yeah. Then Kevin was spoke
Oh,
with Kevin. Yeah. And then he's like, hey, just come down here. I'm like, wait, you guys have an office? Because I've
yeah.
attended a few ones and they're all like, in Hilton or someplace. And then for me, I wanted someone local that could, hold my hand and teach me everything. So yeah, I mean, attended their event and essentially, became a member. Um and then Oscar, after my training, he's like, hey, we have club members in Hawaii. And then, being a newbie, I was like, who the hell flips houses in Hawaii? Like being it so
Yeah,
expensive.
right.
So basically introduced me to Joe and Marianne, sat down with them at Kunia Starbucks. Two strangers. I didn't know who they really were, and then what they do. All I know is like, okay, they invest in Hawaii, right? They convinced me to move back home. It was a tough pill to swallow. It's like, but after they shared this story with me, essentially it kind of worked out because my mom, she's by herself here, so it's like she needed somebody to be with her. I moved back in 2019 January, and then yeah, pretty much the rest is history. Been, being mentored and coached by Joe and Marianne and the team. So, um, it's been a truly blessing because they've been teaching me the right ways to do it. Not easy, but that just the right ways to do it. And then that's something that, I'll go over more on how to call it all came about. And, yeah.
Well, your story resonates with me because it's almost to the T my story.
Yeah.
Because I left home and like any true local boy, it's like, you think you can conquer the world. It's like I'm like, I outgrew this place already. I need to go, I'm going somewhere else. I'm going to the mainland. I want to play in the big pond. And then you realize real quick, it's like it doesn't matter what pond you're in for one, and two is like I got homesick. Like I was searching for something, kind of like it seemed like you were kind of searching for something, right? Like I had nothing to lose either. The only thing that I was worried about is paying rent next month. I'm a broke college student. I'm in debt. I have negative net worth right now. It's like, how am I gonna, and then you started trading, right? Trading, and I went into that too. Like I did looking at options trading, and then forex. And then now fast forward now, I'm like, holy shit, what the fuck was I thinking? Like that was crazy. College kid putting everything he has into like forex and options, like Jesus. So if I can save one broke college kid on a call or anything like that, then I'd love to do that. That's why, talking about money and like Wall Street and Main Street, the differences and like who should be playing on which street, like that's very important information, because especially in these times when we had these spikes in the crypto boom and, like everything boom, people got in the GameStop fiasco, which is still kind of ongoing, right? Like, yeah, it's all fun and games until you lose everything.
Exactly.
And that's
exactly.
And so, but you mentioned that you went to a New Wealth, and obviously it's put you on a new path, right? And I know why. And it's the people, it's the culture, it's everything. It's everything that we are here on this call, and everything that you'll get come September, like in a week. Wow. And I want everyone to experience it. So can you describe what you have learned? You talked about the Go Giver, and that is something that's so powerful. Like we're gonna live by those books because we already have we already operate that way, but we want to understand it now, and be able to communicate it to the rest of the world. And so, tell me to you after you read that book, like what revelations did you have?
Yeah, I think for me the biggest thing was being coming from the Philippines, right? Moving here, just like every immigrant, is all about the American dream and wanted to make a lot of money, right? And then most times, or what normally nowadays, or we see in social media, is people talking about their net worth, right, or how much money they make. It's such a big flex culture. And then when you told us, I think it was one RPP here in Hawaii, you told us to read that book, so I jumped on it, bought one, and then it really changed my perspective big time. I mean, one, I'm a born again Christian, right? And that kind of it's the same belief, right? Being a Christian is, you give, right? And then I think that is such an underrated statement, because for us with the club, we come across a lot of people that they always want to help themselves first, not realizing that you actually, when you give value to people, or you provide more value than what you can take in, there's more result in doing that, right? There's more reward. I think that's for me, when it's, and you all teaches that, right? And it, right? That's the number one thing, is that they teach on helping people. And another thing is actually applying it and seeing the result is truly fulfilling.
Yeah. And the Go Giver, I think, is so powerful too. And I think it's hard for people to grasp when you just hear the words. You'll get more if you give more, right? It's like those words have been said probably millions of times in that exact order and many different other orders of saying that sentence with those same words. So it's less, I feel it gets glanced over. People don't focus on it. They don't dive into it like the way these books dive into it. And I think the one line that I got that I realized could help me explain it to someone who maybe communicates and understands on a more sensible, logical, in a logical way, right? So if you need logic and something tangible to hold on to understand the go-giver mentality, is that one, you give first, right? Genuinely, without any expectations of getting anything in return, just to help somebody else. But in turn, even if you don't do business, even if that person, you never see them again, you know, possibly, that one person will be a personal walking ambassador for you. So imagine how many new people we meet or people that we interact with every day, that we have the opportunity to be a go-giver for them, and in turn, them be a personal walking ambassador for us, right? Where they're talking about anything real estate comes up. I met this guy, I don't know his name's Corey something, I don't know, but they have an office over there. They do this, you know, like that's how it works. We, like at some point in my career when we were buying houses left, right, all types of markets, I started to realize, like, where are we getting these leads? I have to even think, like, we have to cut marketing because there was no need for it. You know, let the wholesalers market, let them get that business, you know, and then we'll buy it from them at a premium, you know, like, because something's happening, something special is happening. And what happened was somewhere along the line over my years of just being me, you know, I built that influence where if somebody saw a deal, they called me, right? And so I had to, when I'm reading The Go-Giver, I'm starting to realize what has happened and how I got here. Even to this day, sometimes I'm just baffled. It's be like, how did I get here? You know, and then I read those books and I'm like, yeah, I know how I got here. You know, I remember, it ain't luck. You know, this shit works. It's not hocus pocus. You know, like so you read The Go-Giver, and was that after when that was right in 2020 then, right?
No, I think that's when we had our first RPP or second one. 2019 sometime. Andrew was still here. Andrew Boswell was still here.
That's right. It was here. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and you guys were neighbors.
I remember that. Yeah.
I mean, I would like to kind of walk people through like the process of how I applied it. So I do have some slide to show, if you don't mind. I share my screen.
Yes. Can you share?
And then, you know, kind of some like how it all played with us helping homeowners, the way we approach it, right? So let me just get this. Let me know if you guys can see my screen.
Yep.
All right, perfect. Yeah, all right, guys. I mean, just, you know, I don't want this to be like a book club thing, but I just wanted to really showcase like how I really applied the go-giver mentality to my business, in addition to, you know, all the teachings that the club has taught me. So again, for those of you guys who don't know what a go-giver story was, so basically a young man named Joe, he was just like the rest of us who was hungry for success. He was, you know, a go-getter, was just all about sales, making money, until one day, you know, he needed to land a sale that could, you know, lift him up because he was having a bad quarter, right? So a lot of people who got advice from a consultant, as they call him, chairman, you know, they referred Joe to that guy to, you know, you need to change your mindset why you're not closing stuff, right? So basically Joe spent, you know, a 1 week with the chairman who brought in 5, you know, successful business owners. And then eventually Joe learning that, you know, he had to change his focus from just, you know, instead of just always getting, but realizing that, you know, if you give more and putting others interests first, then he will, you know, adding value to their lives ultimately leads return unexpectedly. Um, so yeah, just a little bit of agenda again, just kind of show you guys what I'm gonna be talking about. And then about me, like I said, born and raised in the Philippines. I moved here in 2006 when I was 12 years old. So pretty much more than half my life I've been in America. Little bit background, I was in the legal field as a paralegal for a couple of years in the criminal defense law firm here in Honolulu. Now I work at a local software development company. So like I mentioned, yeah, I got started in real estate in 2018 with New World Advisors Club in Riverside. This is before we opened up the club here in the island. And then, I think this is contrary to most of you guys, but I actually enjoy having a day job and still be able to do real estate investing. I know some of you guys quit and want to do it full time, but I think for me, Joe is my role model. If you can have a job and flip houses, I'm pretty sure I can too. So that's me. So, I think my goal with this is kind of entice you guys to maybe change your mindset a little bit, and that's applying the go giver, right? So most investors, and there's nothing wrong with this, right? So most investors, they kind of operate with, like I said, wealth is the main goal. That thing is most, I hope I don't offend you guys, but most not having a pay it forward mentality. You guys are go getters, right? Deals are self-contained. It's just all about making sure that there's a lot in the pipeline and then less contribution to the community. What I would like to advise, maybe, you could run or operate your business differently. Maybe, don't chase the money. I always believe that it will come. Discover ways to help distressed homeowners, serve the community, and be passionate about prioritizing people's needs first. Yeah. And then for me on the book, this is the biggest thing that I really like about it is, when it says your true worth is determined by how much more you give in value than you take in. So just like what Corey said, right? Continue to give without expecting anything back from people and whoever it is you're helping. And I think really this statement goes a long way. So these are the 5 laws, right? So there's law value, and behind it, like I said, is giving more value than you take in payment. And then the law of compensation, which basically means your income is determined by how many people you serve and how well you serve them. Law of influence, your influence is determined by how abundantly you place others people's interests first. And then law of authenticity, the most valuable gift you have to offer is yourself. So be authentic. Don't be like Corey, or don't be, or you're a role model, but be yourself when you talk to your clients or who, your mentee and stuff like that, right? And then law of receptivity, which means you got to be ready to also receive, right? And how I applied all this, this is, I think, one of me, my team and I, like, biggest accomplishment in a way. So show you guys, this house in Waipahu, huge squatter house. I think a lot of you guys probably saw this if you guys are driving for dollars. For me, I didn't drive for dollars. I was actually in bed on Facebook, like every millennial, before I was going to sleep, and Hawaii News Now came on my feed, and saw this news. So
6 folks living in a Waipahu neighborhood say close to a dozen squatters have taken over a dead man's home and turned it into a filthy drug den. Despite years of complaints, no one's evicted the illegal tenants, so they turned to our Allison Blair for help.
Neighbors tell me problems started back in 2015. They say within a few months of the property owner's death, people they never seen before started hanging around his front yard. It wasn't long before they moved in.
What used to be a quiet community tucked behind Honowai Elementary in Waipahu now has a seedy reputation, all because of what's happening on Hulahe Street. In back of the abandoned cars and piles of rubbish is a 3-bedroom home neighbors say has been overrun by a brazen bunch of squatters.
They'll always give us a weird look, I don't even feel safe walking past that house anymore.
A woman we'll call Vanessa says fights are common there. For fear of retaliation, we're not showing her face. She estimates there are close to a dozen people living on the property neighbors call a drug den, including young children.
You see little kids playing with trash and stuff.
Despite repeated calls to Honolulu police and years spent complaining to the city, problems have only gotten worse. City officials confirm they're aware of the property owner's death, but because there's no record of a new owner, they continue to send bills to the abandoned home. The vice chairman of the Waipahu Neighborhood Board says a potential solution could be for the city to initiate foreclosure proceedings, but that's going to take a while.
The earliest they could do it if the property taxes continue to be unpaid is in 2020.
We also spoke with Councilman Ron Menor's office. A spokesman said they're taking this issue to the mayor once again, and that they've also asked police numerous occasions to monitor the property for law violations. Allison Blair, Hawaii News Now.
Yeah, so I wanted to bring this up because you know, I actually, when I first arrived in Hawaii, that was my neighborhood. So I lived just like a street above it. So when I recognize it, I'm like, okay, I know where that is. So, you know, first thought was one of the statement was saying, you know, didn't feel safe. I actually drove by that house in 2020. So the news was in 2019. I saw the news in 2020, and then drove by the house, and it was crazy. When the squatters were still there, like they have somebody by the mailbox as a guard post. It's like, yeah, it has a lot of people live there. The whole place was trash.
Why you don't want to come in with me?
So my first thought was, well, that neighborhood needed help. And then, you know, did my research, you know, the house was paid off, but the taxes were delinquent. They haven't been paying, like, or the family haven't been paying taxes, right? Owners passed away, didn't have kids. So, you know, we skip trace trying to find the owner and their relatives and stuff. I actually, you know, came into rope on that end because I couldn't find any, right? When the owner passed away, one of the sisters was still alive, but in 2020, all the siblings passed away. They didn't have kids. So like, well, there's nothing else. So, you know, I think a great thing is having a community. So reached out Joel guys and my team, like, hey, could you guys help me find relatives for these people? So we found one. And then luckily the first person I got a hold of was a very nice lady, which became our client. And then want you guys to see it, like the timeline on this thing. So, you know, June 2019, Hawaii News Now reported, you know, about the squatter house, right? And then February 2020 is when I saw the news, and then that's my first touch with Michelle, which is one of the heirs. So the next in probate, it's the nieces and nephews. Christian didn't have kids, siblings passed away, mom and dad passed away, right? Got in contact with Michelle. She was a little skeptical, you know, pretty normal, right? She didn't reply to me until March. And then, you know, me, Joe sat down with her, provided like what we can do, what we can help. And initially, when I reached out to her, it wasn't even, I didn't lead it with like, hey, Michelle, like, I want to buy a house. I can help you solve you guys' problem. I want to buy a house. It was, hey, I used to live there in that neighborhood. Do you need help with securing your property or something? Right. But then again, yeah, so we sat down, talked to her some of her options. And then from there, we were good. She was like, yeah, we want to work with you guys. Let's start the probate. And then, you know, we referred her to one of our probate attorney. 3 months later, because during that time, you know, in probate, you have to talk. There's 12 heirs. There's 12 of them. And then she had to talk to all of them and pretty much convinced like, hey, I can initiate it. If you guys agree, I'll be the personal representative of the state, right? June came and one cousin said no. And one of the cousins said, you know, I'm gonna do it. So we're like, okay, we step back and we like let you guys figure it out, right? Just if you guys need some guidance and support, just let us know. Um, followed up with her like almost like monthly until we, became kind of quiet. And then pandemic as well. So March 2021, Michelle reached out to me directly. It's like, hey, you know what? There's no movement. Can we just move forward with the probate with you guys? And then, explain to her the whole process of how it's gonna look like, considering one of the cousin was kind of, not agreeing with the idea of her being the personal representative. So she was like, she was okay with it. She really wanted to work with us, we gain her trust. And then, essentially we're able to make some movement there. Because it was a contested probate, took a little longer. Well, not even a little longer, way longer than it should have. So October 2021, Michelle finally became the PR for the estate. And then on June 2022, she already, she was like, hey, can I sell the house to you guys? Because we work with you guys, you guys help us with the whole process. And we're like, absolutely, you know what I mean? That's something we can help you folks with. June 2022, this year, one of the heir who was against, Michelle being the PR suddenly filed a counter offer. It's another hiccup. Essentially though, that day, we retrieved the house, we were able to get the house back and help Michelle and the family. And we closed in escrow this month. So, I mean, just look at this timeline. I want you guys to realize, like, from 2020 to 2022, I think it could have gone a different way. We could have given up on them, right? But the whole mission was we wanted to help them from start to finish, and we just wanted to make sure that they won't have that issue anymore as a family, and the thing was the house was going to go to auction as well because of property taxes. Yeah. So here we are. When Michelle finally said, we'd like to move forward with you guys, we secured the property. Again, this is our team, Joel, Regan, Trey, and then we secured it. We fenced it up, we boarded it up. So you can see it is inside of the house. Talk about drug house. Yeah, there was a lot of needles, a lot of those little Ziploc bag. You guys know what that is. They truly trashed it. They even broke the meter, which I learned is a federal offense to break the meter. So they broke that. And yeah, this is basically what it looked like, right? And then you can see in here as well. Very creative, huh? So
Wow.
yeah, and then one of the crazy thing is the homeowner for this house, he was an aircraft mechanic. You guys seen this? If you guys see this drum, these are actually hydraulic fluids, which he would use to pour around his property, supposedly to kill termites. So he would bring this home, put it around the house, and it's supposed to kill termites. So yeah, there was a lot of those. By the way, feel free to stop me, guys, or ask me any questions. If you guys have any.
One thing is like you chased this one for 3 years, so that says something, right? And like, yeah, I want to see this slide, and that's why for Dylan, Joel and Christian, they're the right guys to help you with this complex deal, and this homeowner, I was really like, it almost left my mouth where I almost told Dylan, sometimes you got to know when you're chasing the wrong deal, but then if you always put people first, then I don't know that person's situation. Maybe, I mean, it sounds like there is no person in need, like in this situation, the heirs needed help, right? But in Dylan's situation, I almost said that, and then I was like, well, maybe hold it for a second, and Joel came in, and thank God, because yeah, with you guys, like you've solved hard problems like this, and that's why you guys get the great deals, and you make the big money, because that's our job, is to solve problems. And the one that on Nihi Street, right, with Joel, like that was in a flood zone or floodway.
Yeah.
And like I've never seen anyone make it out of a floodway permit. You guys I've seen go upside down. They never fixed it. So, yeah, Dylan,
That's great. Yeah, the Nihi one, I don't know how Joe then pulled it through with that one. Yeah, so I mean, just to kind of break it down for you guys, so how I applied the go-giver mindset to this property specifically was, when I initially reached out to the family, I didn't really have the intention to come out as an investor and hey, I want to buy a house. It was more of like, how can I help you guys secure this place so you guys don't have this headache, and also help the neighborhood, right? Normally that's kind of offer we go first, instead of just like straight up asking people to buy their homes, is really what's the issue or what's the problem and how can we help solve that first, right? And a second, law of compensation. Like Corey said, this is our expertise, how we help all the homeowners we meet. And it doesn't change anything, right? It's first really understanding and connecting with them, and figuring out what the real problem is and help them find the solution for that problem, right? And then law of influence, although thoroughly walking Michelle through her options, we made sure that she felt comfortable with her decisions, right? The one thing she didn't want to happen was have some family affairs and just like, because she could have just pursued the probate and contested. Like, I don't care what my cousin said, I'm gonna be the PR. But she wanted, to talk to all the cousins and make sure they all agree. And we're like, of course, absolutely. We want to make sure it's clean and, you do it your way, right? Although it didn't always align with the process that we envisioned, it was always, we wanted to make sure that she was never wrong with the decision she was making, right? And then law of authenticity is really just staying true to the mission. For us, our mission is always putting the homeowners first, and then putting them in the best possible position. And then law of receptivity, that relationship that was built with Michelle and trust that she put in us really led us to her, never look back and never look to anybody else but to sell it to us. And then this is one thing to really going back to being open to receiving, because so the next project that I'm going to show you guys, it really opened up my mind to really like, man, if you approach this business with a go-giver mindset and really offering, actual help than just like, hey, I want to buy your home, it's really going to open up more things. And the reason I said that is this is my neighborhood. In Paiva Street, from the top of my building is one home that was put on fire twice because of squatter. Right? I mean, I'm not gonna play the whole thing. It's pretty much just a house burning. But it's one thing to see it live. And I was like, I actually saw it. I was like, that's crazy. So, I door knocked the homeowner or the family who owns that house, straight up go to her home, like, huh?
Is an attaboy.
Yeah, it's like, skip trace, found out the original owners, parents passed away, like, oh yeah, look for the kids, found one of them, straight to her home, door knock it. And it was the same approach. It wasn't like, hey auntie, I'm your neighbor, in your Paiva home, I like buy a house, right? It was more like, auntie, do you need help securing that place? Same thing. It was, how can we help you, stop this craziness? Well, one, it's my neighbor. So, and it's funny how I approach her. So I called her, she didn't answer. I left a voicemail. So I shoot her a text message. I sent her an email, continued to skip trace. I found her daughter graduated from Waipahu High School, but she was younger, like 2014, 2015. Reached out. She blocked me on Instagram.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's like, nope. I'm like, all right. And then send her mailers, right? To you know what, I'm gonna just door knock it. And then it was crazy the story I had with her, because she's like, yeah, I came with my mailer, and I'm like, hey auntie, I sent you this, not sure if you got it, I just wanted to introduce myself. I was like, I know you, I have your stuff, I kept it. I was like, oh, cool. I was then in my head, I'm like, why don't you call? But so from this, it was, I didn't really know she had, basically it's one home, right? Just wanting to offer that. It's the same way we sat down with her, we talked with her, addressed the issue to finding out she owned 3 properties that she sold to us now. So it all started with just this. This is after the fire. And then she's, after talking with her, I was like, oh no, yeah, we own 3, right? Only saw with Pao, and then she's like, I actually want to sell all of those. And then put her under contract and currently in escrow. So I think it goes back to, you know, leading with providing, you know, just helping them out with whatever problem they're facing, and be authentic that way, rather than, you know, seeing them as dollar signs, like, oh, you have a vacant home, your money, right? And it really then, you know, goes back to the book, and having a go giver is you lead with providing value, then truthfully, then, you know, you're gonna get the result more than you expect.
Man,
Yeah,
there's
just
so much
want
lessons there. Wait, well, I gotta touch on one thing. Like, one thing is that, well, you guys are definitely relentless, you know, and maybe it's because like that's what we subconsciously demand from one another. Like everyone in the new wealth, like there's a certain tude, you know, and it's you know, go giver mindset. We stand for certain principles, and you know, we won't break, you know, our principles or our core for anybody. But even the fact that she blocked you on Instagram, you know, like she knows you're trying to contact her, but you didn't stop because she blocked you on Instagram. You know, you didn't stop because she stopped responding to you, or she didn't answer you, because you stayed true to that. You knew that she needed help, you know, and you knew that you were the guy that could possibly help them, right? So if that's the case, then, and you're relentless about it, you know, you just quit after she blocked you on Instagram, like, oh shoot, I don't want to be like
yeah.
or something, like, but no, you knew the purpose was more than just the deal. If it's just the deal, it's like, I'd rather save my, you know, my possible shame or getting embarrassed or something, you know, than helping this person. So that was awesome, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Corey. Yeah, I mean, it was truly fulfilling, and you know, she was very, very happy. And the thing was, like, you know, she even shared like, yeah, I got a lot of mailers from people. I got like a lot of, you know, calls. I reject them, but she was like, you know, you stood up the most, only because you didn't offer, you know, wanting to buy my house. I was like, oh, okay. I kind of caught up me guard, but you know, that was kind of the feedback from, you know, the homeowner of these houses. So it was pretty cool. So kind of want to go with this, you know, for most of you guys, right? Whether you seasoned investors or newbie, or you want to get started, I think this is overlooked. So servicing homeowners are underrated. You know, not many people educate and empower homeowners to walk through their mortgage or property challenges. We did come across, or we did have a homeowner where, you know, she owned a home, and there's an issue there because her husband, who wasn't mentally stable, was living in it. And then, you know, there were investors like, hey, we can buy a home, but let us know when you're kick out your husband. Whereas, how can we help you move your husband out? Right. So that's one. And then, yeah, oftentimes homeowners are left on their own, meaning, you know, they know they're going through some financial situation, and it's most times be like, all right, well, let us know when you figure that out. And when you're ready to sell, here's my number. Versus, hey, let me hold your hand. You're not alone. We'll walk you through this, right? And then, you know, leading with buying their homes is the only answer. Most people do that. It's like, oh, you're in foreclosure, let me buy a house. That's not always the case, right? Especially in Hawaii here, as you guys know, or, you know, few people here from Hawaii, houses are generational. You know, it's either the great grandpa built it from the ground up, and then it was just passed down, right? And things happen in life. The current family is living in it just couldn't sustain it or maintain it. You know, it happens. But, you know, we come across where you offer them, we always lead to offer, or, you know, buy their homes. It's really offensive.
Yeah.
You know, because for them, that's home. That's their home. That's the safety net, right? And lastly, you know, this is often overlooked as a source of leads, because, you know, when you actually start helping people from the very beginning, and essentially you build that great relationship with them, they're not going to look everywhere else. you're gonna be like, hey, you know what? I've had, you guys help us already. Could you guys help us buy it? I'm like, absolutely, And even when you get to that point, make sure you help them find a place to move to so they can start a better life. Don't just hand off their check, like whatever the terms you guys made, and it's like, well, you got to get out, right? Don't kick them out. I highly suggest, or I would like for you guys to, help them out. Like, if find them a rental place to move to, just for them to start a new life, and then continue to build that relationship, because that's gonna go a long way. It's gonna be more rewarding and fruitful than just oh, finally they sold the house to us and then right. So I'll say this, for most of us, if you want solid leads, look for people who need help and put their needs first. Right.
Christian, thank you so much for sharing. And one thing, when I first had the honor to reconnect with Melina and Oscar, and Joel and Marianne, meet them for the first time, when I realized that they started a club here, I just remember, and Joel did a great job kind of giving the lessons about coconut wireless and
yeah, that's Joel.
because look, bad news travels very quickly, especially bad news here in Hawaii, but I remember saying that good news also travels just as fast, if not faster, here on the islands, through the coconut wireless. So
Absolutely.
it's not just helping that lady. That's enough of fulfillment to guys like us anyways, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I guarantee the next time that anything to do with real estate, whether it's for them, a friend, a family member, they're going to say, call my friend Christian. He helped me. He'll help you guys. That's how you get deal flow, and I remember years ago when I was on the Bigger Pockets podcast, and they're asking me about deal flow. How did we get so much deal flow? And it's hard to explain, because most training companies focus on marketing, because that's tangible information. Go to this list, put these filters, go to this mailing service, mail merge, pay for it, and then use this phone call, this calling app or whatever. But then that's just one side of deal flow. Like, the other side is relationships. And the relationship side, most people don't go far in the business because they only focus on what they're being sold on stage, which is marketing, right. Which marketing is very important. It's very important too for any new business. But why not do both? Why not serve people well, build genuine relationships, and do marketing? Even if you have to choose one or the other, I would choose relationships all day long. But look, like, if you're trying to run a real business, right, from the ground, like, we got to throw some thought. We got to invest in this.
Absolutely.
Nothing. Like, I had nothing but relationships, and no relationships at the time. I had to build up one by one by serving people, even if it's just I meet them, I have nothing to offer them, I probably won't do business with them, but being a genuine ear to listen to their story and genuinely be interested, so that when they leave and when we part in about 5 or 10 minutes or less, that they feel like, I just met someone that's a really nice guy, level-headed, that's value. That's still value.
Yeah.
So, Christian, thank you so much for sharing your story. Can't wait to see you next week alongside everybody else.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
Does anybody have anything for Christian before we log off? And Christian, please, share your information where people can reach out to you if they got deals they want to partner on. Joel, Christian, Marianne, and the whole New Wealth team have a lot of resources, guys. I know. Yeah. Okay. And so reach out if you need help. Even if you don't have to be a seller. You could be an investor here on the call. Maybe might be stuck. Call them. They'll take your call and they will genuinely point you in the right direction or help you, or maybe even partner with you. So thank you, Christian. Anybody else have it? Was there any questions in the chat? You should read the chat, bro.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah,
work.
hey guys. So I mean, for those of you guys who don't know what Bambaylar means, is normally when think about it this way. If you have kids and they keep telling them, stop jumping on the bed, you're gonna hurt yourself, and they don't stop, eventually they hurt themselves, they're gonna learn. That's what it means in Hawaii. So, but yeah, I mean, these are like the text messages feedback that we got for helping these two homeowners. So, but yeah, guys, just go out there with a serving heart, and don't worry about the money. It will come. It'll come. But yeah, thank you, Corey. Truly honored to be here and speak on, to everybody. Yeah,
Thank
next
you.
week we're gonna party.
Yeah. Well, thanks, brother. And man, I'm reading these text messages, and this is what it's all about, And recently, I had someone who was concerned because, I don't know, they feel like they're being tied into the business too much, and perhaps they need a hobby. And my opinion is, like, if somebody's telling you you need a hobby, like, you don't have to listen to that. Maybe you do. I don't know. To me, I don't need a hobby. Like, this is my hobby. Like that. That's more than a hobby to me. And people, I think, who are desperate for hobbies or are chasing hobbies or being told that they need a hobby, it's like you have to look at. No, I don't need a hobby. I got fulfillment with my family, and with my friends, and with what we're building. I got purpose. I got something even bigger, and that's purpose. And so, I told this person, I said, look, maybe they need a hobby, but
Right.
you feel a fire inside. So you need purpose. That will set you free. And then those text messages is a huge reminder of why we do this, not for the money, not for the accolades, it's for stuff like that happens behind the scenes. It's worth so much more.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you perfectly said it, Corey. That was awesome.
Thank you, Christian.
Yeah,
So
thank
if
you,
anyone,
guys.
okay, do you, okay, you dropped your email?
Yeah. Put my phone number in there too, so you guys can call me, just not in midnight. I'm just kidding.
Right on, guys. Thank you, Christian. Thank you, guys. Hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you guys next week. Aloha, everybody.